I was commissioned in the infantry and served 21 years as an infantry officer. I served in airborne, light, and mechanized units. I culminated my operational experience with the command of Task Force 122 Infantry in Tikrit, Iraq from 2003 to 2004. I had very good leaders. My brigade commander, Colonel Jim Hickey, who led Operation Red Dawn, my task force was a part of his brigade. Our division commander was General Odierno, Ray Odierno, who's now our Chief of Staff of the Army. I had very good leaders, and I think that the difference that it makes is that if you show initiative and you try to accomplish a mission, if you have leaders that are willing to underwrite what you see and what you can go at, and they're not more concerned about themselves or being the next field marshal of the Army, they're more concerned about accomplishing the mission. It's amazing how leaders under that environment can flourish. If you have leaders that are more concerned about how it will play out in the newspapers or how it will make them look, then every decision becomes second-guessed at that point. It becomes very frustrating for subordinate leaders because you're like, well, they don't care about the mission at all. They're only worried about how they look or how this would come out. If you trust your subordinate leaders, it's amazing what they will deliver. And I had great leaders with Colonel Jim Hickey and General Odierno. They were willing to let me get out of the yard a time or two, and if they had to pull in on the leash, they would. But they also knew that I had the capacity and the training and the troops to get a lot of hard things done, and they demanded even more at times because we were all singularly focused on the mission. As leaders, you are the pin in the hand grenade. You are the moral arbiters of any situation. And if a leader fails to act morally in an environment, it will go south very, very quickly. How do you handle that? Well, one, you got to lead. You got to be out there understanding the situation so that you know what your troops are going through. You can't look at them from afar and then just wonder, why they made such decisions. If you're out there, you generally know. If you're tired and hungry, so are they. If you're low on ammo and water, okay, you've got to be the leader. You've got to bring all of these things to bear for your troops. If they are adequately supplied and you're in a situation, then it is the leaders at any level, squad leader all the way up to senior commander, you have to make those tough calls. I saw occasions in fights where it's very hard to describe these things to those that have not experienced them, but when you remove every barrier of humanity away from you, and now it is literally human beings trying to kill one another, that unleashes incredible raw emotion on both sides, enemy and friendly. And in that fight for instinct and survival, people can become quite vicious. But we as Americans have to not only uphold our traditions, we have to stay above that. I've seen men who've had their bloodlust up at the end of a fight, and it is the leader that has to contain and curb that. What am I talking about? Enemies clearly down, late hits coming in. You call ceasefire. You show quarter. I mean, these are people that just tried to kill you and would be very vicious to you had they succeeded, and you were laying there wounded. But you have to now become better than they. We are Americans. It is our tradition to be moral and decent people. And if we can't do that as leaders, then we've created immense problems for ourselves after any fight. And I had occasions where, because people's emotions were so raw and the bloodlust was up so high, when those things happen as a leader, you have to be so tuned in morally that you call it down immediately when it happens. And then once your soldiers snap to, everything's good. You're fine. Should they continue on, you have to stand in that gap. You have to. And as a leader, if you can't, then you need to give the mantle of that leadership to someone who can.